Hey friends, this is Karen from Blue Rooster Farm, and today it is a rainy and cloudy, cold day, but that's okay. It's perfect for being in the sewing room. Today we are going to be opening up our October Sew Sampler box from Fat Quarter Shop. And also, if you watch till the end of this video, I'm going to show you how to make this coaster / mug rug that has a silicone back. So if you want to know how to do this or see what's in the Sew Sampler box, stick around. Thanks for sticking around. So like I said at the beginning, we are going to be opening our October Sew Sampler of the month. I'm a little bit behind. I received this about a week ago, but I just haven't had time since I've been traveling and have been gone. So we're going to get that done today. We'll also do our little Quilty chat and go over some of the projects that we've done in the past month. And then if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you how to use those 4-inch, 4.5-inch unfinished blocks that we've been making throughout all of my tutorials, and use those and put them into a little coaster or a mug rug with a silicone bat. And it's a real simple little thing. And I think you're going to enjoy the tutorial and you're going to want to make some yourself. So let's get started. So the Sew Sampler is a monthly subscription box from Fat Quarter Shop, which is an online store, and it costs $29.95. But once I pay tax and shipping, it costs me about $37 to $39, somewhere in that range. I can't remember exactly right offhand. So like most of you know, I am a Sew Sampler affiliate. I do purchase my own Sew Sampler box, and I have purchased this for many years. I'm trying to think, 6 or 7 years, maybe more. But I am an affiliate now, and I do have a link in the description box below this video. And anytime I talk about a product or I'm sharing with you something, I might be putting a link to the Fat Quarter Shop down there. And anytime you make a purchase after clicking on that link, anything in your cart, I will receive a small percentage of that sale. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does help my channel a lot. So I really appreciate all of you kind people who have very generously clicked on that link and have made purchases. That does make a difference, and it does help my channel. So with that being said, let's open the box. Now, I have no idea what is in this box, but when you receive it, oh, now I know what's in it. I know by the heading. This is exciting. Okay, so when you receive it, you have a nice topper right here. So it's a nice looking little gift. And this one says Sew Sampler Patchwork Prairie, October 2025. And I'm going to tell you something about this line in just a second, but I like this line. And on the back of this card, you don't want to throw it away because there's usually a code for a special discount for Sew Sampler members. And this one is receive a free 16-inch wooden ruler rack with a shippable purchase of $65 or more. So the wooden rack is just one of those racks that have the slits in it, and then you can stick your rulers and have them really handy. And they take, also on the back of this, they take a free quilt that they have made for everyone, and it's on their Fat Quarter site. They have the pattern free, and they have a video that goes along with it if you need to see a video too. But they take one of those older quilts and they recolor it with the fabric in this box. And so here it says, another quilt idea for you. And so this one says, layer cake latte quilt. So I'm thinking we're going to be getting a layer cake. And that is a really pretty quilt. And I'm not sure how big that one is, but if you go into Fat Quarter Shop, it says it's a crib. This one shown is a crib size. But if you go onto Fat Quarter Shop and you click into the search bar and put layer cake latte quilt, it will come up with the pattern, and usually on the pattern there's a link to the video showing how to make it with the pattern. But Fat Quarter Shop is really good at giving a lot of free patterns, and they're always coming out with neat quilt ideas. And their patterns are usually a pre-cut friendly pattern, which is nice for those of you and me who love to use the pre-cuts. I really like to use the pre-cuts because that way you get all of the fabric of one collection for one price. So looking at this, I know the fabric. Also on this, they say, quilt with us, join us for Socialites 3. This quilt along is all about connecting with other quilters. We shared all the details about Socialites 3 on the Jolly Jabber. You can visit our blog here, and then they give you a QR code. Socialites 3 is for everyone. It is a free quilt along, and so if you are interested in doing that, just go to Fat Quarter Shop, click in the search bar, Socialites 3, and it will take you right to all the information. Kimberly Jolly, the owner of the Fat Quarter Shop, she also has a blog, and you can find her blog linked to her Fat Quarter Shop, and a lot of times she'll talk about things there. Also, every Friday, and it's not every Friday right now, she does have older kids who are doing a lot of sports, one daughter in college, and so she's very busy right now, but she has most Fridays some sort of video that talks about new fabric coming in, new things going on, new sewing. She shows all of her projects that she's working on. I believe on Wednesday or Thursday, she does cross stitching. So she has a video that goes out. Most of the time they are live and you can ask questions and she will answer you. But sometimes she pre-records just because she can't be there that day. So check that out if you're interested in that. I found a lot of information and I've learned a lot of things from watching her through these many years that I've been watching her. That's why I really wanted to be an affiliate with Fat Quarter Shop, because I really do like their products and I think she runs a really good business. So let's see what's in the box. You always get a little pamphlet, and this one says Patchwork Prairie, October 2025. And this tells you all about the items that are in the box and gives you a retail value. Now, some things we get into the box are not something you could buy or purchase at her store. They are exclusives. Only the people that get the box can have that item. Some things are items which are new to their shop, but we are getting it first before it's stocked in the store. So it's kind of neat to see things before everybody else. So let's just dig in, and I always like to save the fabric till close to the end. Oh my, there's quite a few things in here. So this is a fun one, and I actually kind of need this. It's a sewing magnet mate, because a lot of times you might drop a pin or something, and I have a drafting chair for my sewing chair because I have my sewing machine up higher so I can stand and sew. And so if I have to get a pin that I've dropped, I have to get completely out of my chair and move my chair out and pick it up there. Now I have this little tool and I am going to be picking up needles from my chair. So it extends like that, and there's a magnet down here, and I can just, let me see if there's a needle down here. Oh darn, I don't see one. I can just touch the floor pick up my pen and take it off. But I have a feeling my husband might be stealing this from me too, because sometimes he gets things caught, like if he's working on the car, something drops inside the engine area of the car and he can't reach it. So I have a feeling if I tell him about this, he may be borrowing this. So this is a fun tool and it will come in very handy. Also, if it's short and you want to pick up pins, let's just show you. There's my pins. Very strong needle. It just jumped right in there. So, or very strong magnet. So this is a fun tool. I'm glad to get that. I've actually thought about buying one. I think you can get them at different, like Freight Harbor and stuff, but they're certainly not as cute as the turquoise handle. All right, the next thing, we have an add a quarter with its specialty designed 1/4 inch lip. Okay, these are handy. I have seen these too, and I have not bought one. It is a ruler, and this one looks like it is for breast cancer awareness. They have it nicely colored pink. Oh, and I did not share with you the price of our little magnet. Let me do that. I need to pay attention to what I'm doing. Okay, So Sampler got it first. So this is one that we got first. It has a $12.98 value. It says round up runaway pins and straying needles with the sewing magnet mate. This new nifty little tool telescopes out to 30 inches, making it quick and easy to retrieve fallen pins, needles, and even metal notions like scissors, seam rippers, and machine feet, and bobbins. Plus, its long reach makes grabbing items in hard-to-reach places simple and stress-free. Lightweight and practical, the sewing magnet mate makes tidying your sewing space effortless. I didn't even think about it. I need to try my seam ripper. I drop my seam ripper a lot. So let's put that on the floor. And let's see if it can retrieve it. I'm not going to be getting out of this chair anymore. So yes, it can pick up that, and little scissors. I'm always dropping my little scissors too. Okay, so now we're going back to our little, somebody went by kind of loud, our little ruler. It's at 1/4. So I don't know if you can see it on here, but there is a little ledge right there. And this little ledge right here is 1/4 inch. So it looks like when you are trying to add 1/4 inch to something, you add it, you put this on there, and then you trim. And it's really handy for the foundation piecing when you have to cut the leftover piece 1/4 inch away from the seam. This really works nicely. It would probably work real well for just cutting your, let's see, like your half square triangles. You want to have 1/4 inch seam. You could trim those, but this will work well for that. Let's read about it. And let's see if it's special because of the color. It's a 1x6 ruler, and it's by CM Designs. Its retail value is $8.98. Trim with confidence using the add 1/4 1 inch by 6 inch ruler. This compact, pretty pink ruler is designed with a clever 1/4 inch lip that makes it simple to add seam allowances and guide your rotary cutter along a straight edge. Its compact size tucks neatly into your sewing kit, always ready to lend a hand when foundation piecing. Pretty portable, and precise. It's our favorite little ruler with a big impact. And so if you haven't done any paper piecing, you might not understand, but people that know how to do paper piecing know that whenever you add a fabric strip and then you need to trim your seam allowance, this will work really good, and that will come in really handy. So that is a nice one to have and add to my assortment of rulers. It says a portion of the proceeds will be donated to help fight breast cancer. So that is why we have it pink. Okay, that's a nice one. Then here is probably the reason we received that. We have some square in a square 5-inch quilt block foundation paper. And this right here is paper that you tear out and you add your fabric, you sew directly onto the paper, and once you follow the directions, you will have a perfect 5-inch square in a square block. And I think they gave us a 3.5-inch one time, and that's been quite some time ago, because a lot of people struggle with making square in a square accurate, trying to keep that 1/4 inch on those points, because if you don't keep it accurate, then your points of your square that's inside will disappear. So this helps you with perfection and making it very accurate. So I have a feeling we're going to be using this in our pattern that we're going to have. Let me read about that one. That says 5-inch square in a square quilt block foundation paper, and it's by It's So Emma. Its value is $9.98. Piece together patchwork perfection with the 5-inch square in a square quilt block foundation paper. These pages take the guesswork out of sewing precise points and angles, creating blocks as crisp as autumn air. Each sheet helps your blocks come together neat and tidy, giving you picture-perfect results every time. They're just right for stitching up the pie-safe table runner or adding a dash of prairie charm to any project on your list. So we are going to be getting a pattern using that. Let's look at the fabric. And this is what I was excited to see, because I have been eyeing this. And while we were on our shop hop, I believe the one store that I saw it was Ben Franklin, but they only had a couple of bolts of it. And I was hoping to find a little larger collection or even a charm pack of it to see what all the fabrics look like. I'm also really interested in the apron. They have a big panel that makes a big apron, and I was kind of wanting to look at that and see if I wanted to make one of those. This is called Modern, let's see, this, well, the designer is Melissa Gilbert of Little House on the Prairie. She was the one that played Laura, and her company is Modern Prairie, and this is Evening on the Prairie. And so she's had a couple of different lines already come out, and they're real pretty, but this one is the one I really like. And as you can see, they're just really pretty fall colors. And I'm going to put, instead of flipping through all of these, I'm going to put an image right here with all the fabric so you can see it. But she just uses some really pretty, rich colors. Isn't that pretty? And they go really well together. I just really like them. There's the green that she uses. Isn't that pretty? And there's golds, and there's these burgundies. But really pretty colors. And I think it would go really well in my decor at my house. So I'm really wanting to make something with this. And also I'm wanting to see what the panel looks like in person, to see if I want to purchase that. If you've bought that and you've made it, you might make a comment in the box. Let me know if you liked it, if it worked. I've not made an apron panel probably for 15, 20 years, so let me know if you liked it. Okay, here is the before I tell you the pattern, let me give you the price. Okay. Let's see. Wrap yourself in the warmth of the season with the Pie Safe Evening on the Prairie Junior 10-inch Stacker by Melissa Gilbert, the beloved star of Little House on the Prairie. Filled with harvest florals, woodland foliage, rustic plaids and cozy autumn hues, this 24-piece stacker captures the heart of the harvest days. Oops, let me read that again. Captures the heart of the harvest days and crisp evenings on the prairie. Whether you are sewing up the pie-safe table runner pattern or a different quilt, each piece in this collection holds a little patch of autumn charm ready to be sewn into something truly special. And this junior layer cake is $22.98. That is the value of it. So let's see the pattern. And it's cute. It is called Pie Safe. It's a table runner pattern. And here's what it looks like. It looks like it's quite long. It's on the ladder there. Isn't that pretty? And it says, you're going to need a 24-piece 10-inch stacker. You're going to need the 5-inch square in a square quilt block foundation paper. And then, of course, the ruler. And if you want to make it exactly like they have it on the picture, you will need 2/3 of a yard of backing and sashing, or I'm sorry, background and sashing. You're going to need another fat quarter of a cream and a 1/2 yard for the border. So let's see. This would be the border, and the center, I think, is the fat quarter. You will need 5/8 of a yard for cornerstones and binding. So the cornerstones and the binding. And that makes 19.5 by 60 3/4 inch table runner. You will need 2 yards for your backing. And like I always tell you, they do sell finishing kits, and they include everything you need for the top. And sometimes they also make a backing set for it, and that would just be the background fabric or the backing fabric for this runner. Now, if you want to make a lap quilt that measures 52.5 by 52.5, and it has 9 squares on it, like that, you will need 2 of your junior stackers, and then of course more of the other fabric as well. And let's see, it says 24 pieces. I'm wondering if just a whole 10-inch stacker would work. Let's see. Do you use all 24? I'm not sure. It's a little tricky. I'll need to give a better look at this pattern, but I'm not sure if you use all 24. If you only use, for instance, 20, you could just use a 10-inch layer cake, a full-size one, but I'm not sure if that would work. I would have to look more carefully at this pattern. But as far as making it goes, with the 5-inch square in a square papers, it looks like that center block right there will go together real nicely, and then it looks like you're just adding pieces and strips that have cornerstones. And I wonder if they're doing any strip piecing. I don't think so. They're just assembling it like that. But that is really pretty, and you could use any fabric for that and make it really pretty. So that is the Pie Safe Table Runner pattern, and it says, watch autumn leaves drift down outside your window as you bake the Pie Safe Table Runner pattern. Like russet leaves across the prairie, this design brings together rich florals, Rustic Plaids, and Cozy Colors for the Pie Safe Evening on the Prairie Junior 10-inch Stacker by Melissa Gilbert. With an additional size option included, it's the perfect handmade touch for every autumn table. And then they do give you on the little readout here, they give you a QR code that says, find the Sew Sampler finishing kit here. So that will take you to if you want to get the other fabric as well. So there we have all of that. And then our final thing in here is our monthly block for our quilt along. And our quilt along is called Flowering. And each month we're getting one block. And the blocks are very big. They're 18.5 by 18.5. And at the end of 12 months, they'll give us a layout and we'll put them all together. I am not doing this one right now because I'm doing so much other stuff, but it will be something that I can make anytime, and I could always go and watch videos for it. I think she does maybe some, and other people do videos showing how to put this block together if something isn't clear, but it's usually very clear. So it's called What's Up, Buttercup? And there is the block. That's really cute. And that one looks like a pretty simple one to put together. It says that you'll need to do, it looks like half square triangles. And you'll just do some stitch and flips. And that's it. So that is an easy one to put together. Easy together. And they are using for theirs on the picture here, it is Summertime by Camille Ross Kelly. And I know there's a lot of other people making this in different colorways, and it's fun to see all the different colorways and how it makes it look so much different from each other. So there we have our two patterns, our junior layer cake, our metal magnetic pickup stick, our square and a square foundation paper, our add a quarter ruler, and that is October's box. What do you think? Do you like it? I do. I like this box a lot. Like I said, I like that fabric, and I'm going to have to buy some more. Usually I like to wait until it's a little older. That way I can get it at a better price. I just can't see myself spending the amount of money it costs to buy a brand new 10-inch stacker when it's like $50 to $60. That's just not my budget. So I hope you enjoyed opening this Sew Sampler with me. If you did, give me a thumbs up, and I'll be right back with some of the projects we've been working on this month. All right, so I've got all the projects that we had worked on this past month. And the first thing I want to share is our dish mat for October. This one was the 3 pumpkins that I really like, and I love the coloring of this one. And if you're not familiar with my channel, every month I've been making a dish mat, and it has a theme with the month that we're in. And so they're a lot of fun. And if you want to go back and look at some of the past ones, just go to my channel and go to videos, and you can search them there. I do have a playlist now that has all of them in it. So you can go to my channel and then click on the playlist, and it will pop up in those playlists. And all of the videos should be in there unless I've missed one. Then in order to have a coordinating tea towel, I did my tea towel to look like this. See if you can see that. And this is applique, and this one I ended up putting a binding on it to just add some pretty color to it. And I just picked out random fabrics that I had in my stash trying to keep the blue and the teal and the pink and the orange. And then I just put the tie up here. And if you're not familiar with my tea towels, these are tea towels of the month also. They just hang and you can tie them with this tie up here, and you can tie them to your refrigerator, your stove, a hook, anything like that, and it makes them really pretty. If you want to just display them, you can, but we are going to be using mine. That's what they're for. Then I shared with you how to make a Cornelius. He is our little squirrel block. Let me find him here. There he is. And he is a 10-inch block, and he's pieced together. I have free instructions and a free tutorial on how to put him together, and I'll try to link it in the description box below, but if it's not down there, you'll just go to my channel, Blue Rooster Farm, and go to videos, and he'll be at the top there somewhere. And so there he is. And then I took the acorn block that we had made earlier and the leaf block that we had made earlier. And those blocks also have free tutorials and free patterns. And I put him together to make this nice quilt. And I just love him. I just finished it the day before yesterday, and so I haven't got it on my long arm yet, but I'm wanting to get it on right away. I'm just still playing catch up, but let me show you what it looks like. And I'll also put a picture up so that you can see it fully. But it is a star with a pretty border using half square triangles instead of flying geese. So it makes it a little easier to put together. And you can use 5-inch charms for the border. That makes it nice. And then a Cornelius has acorns all around. And again, not enough room here to see the whole thing, but I do have a picture and I'll put it right here. So I just love, love, love that quilt. And it means a lot to me too, because of all the designing and those blocks that I did, knowing that everything there is something I designed. It means a lot to me. Because I'm not a quilt designer. I'm not a designer. I just do it because I enjoy it and make it for myself and love sharing it with you guys. So next thing we did was, let's see, Old Black Crow. We did the Old Black Crow block, and I designed this one, and it is, I believe, an 8-inch one. Let me check. Nope, a 10.5-inch one also, 10.5-inch block. And I liked him so well, and I wanted to get something made with him, that I took the same pumpkins that I used for this mat, and I added him to that, but without the mat behind it. I just sewed it regularly, pieced it together, and I made this table runner. Let me scoot back. And I think it turned out great. I like my border. I think he's just the right size. I put a little star right up here because I thought that would balance it out and make it look really nice and prim. So I just need to get this one quilted, and I will probably do that on the sewing machine since my long arm is going to be busy for a few days. So that one I really liked. And I think that is all the sewing that we've been doing this last month. But it's been fun sewing, hasn't it? And as this weather is getting a little bit colder, our garden is still producing. It got knocked back a little bit with the frost. I do still have lots of peppers and some onions that I need to do something with. and a few lima beans, and I haven't dug my sweet potatoes, so I need to dig my sweet potatoes. So I've got those to do, but once that's done, I will not have to be doing any more preserving for the winter. And so even though I enjoy that, after you've done it all summer, I'm ready to be done, but I'll be looking forward to it again next summer. But now I'll have more time to sew. So now that I've shown you everything that we have done this past month, now I'm going to let you watch how to make this cute little silicone coaster mug rug. Thanks so much for watching. Hey guys, today we are going to look at a project using some of our bonus or orphan squares that we have accumulated in our sewing room. Now I've accumulated a lot because a lot of these were test blocks that I used when I was making my patterns, and so I just didn't have anything to use them in since they were fabrics that weren't really coordinating with the project I was making. So I have these, and I have several others, but I just grabbed these right here, and these are all 4.5 inches unfinished. When they're placed in a quilt or a project, they become 4 inches once we take that seam allowance out. And so I was thinking of different things to make with them. Now, you know, we have taken those 4.5 inch unfinished quilt blocks, and we've made the cute boxy pin cushions. But you know, sometimes I have a lot more blocks that I've practiced on than I need for pin cushions. So I had made earlier in the year a shamrock mug rug, and I have really enjoyed it, and I wanted to share a pattern that is similar to it. The mug rug that I made was larger, and I wanted to cut it down just to make it so it's a coaster size. And so this is what I came up with. This right here. And on the top, we just have our block, and then I put a fabric that coordinated with that background fabric so that the block pops. And from the top here, it just looks like a regular little mug rug or regular little coaster. But, you know, we do all of this hard work, and for somebody to set a drink on it and for it to drip and get it dirty, you know, sometimes we think, oh, you know, that's going to ruin it. But this one is a little different because this one has a silicone sheet in it. And so what I do is I use these coasters on nightstands, coffee tables, side tables, wherever guests or I might be sitting with a drink. And whenever I place the drink on them, I don't place it on this side, I place it on this side. And so your cup can set right there, and if it drips or anything gets on it, once you're finished, it's easy to wipe up and then flip it back over, and it looks very nice. You don't have to worry about constantly washing it. So I thought I'd share this with you. It's a simple little pattern, but it's kind of novel with the silicone back, and I thought maybe you'd enjoy seeing how to do it. So let's get started. Oh, and before we get started, I do want to show you one other block, and this one is a larger one. This was a little bit bigger to begin with, and this was one of mine that I did a little earlier, and it makes a larger block. You can see that it's a bigger size. It would be good for a hot pad or something like that. But on this one, I went ahead and put a border on it with the background fabric. Then I added another border, and then I used binding on it. So you can use binding on these. This is a quicker method, and it's a nice size. But if you want to make a pot holder or something like that, or something larger, and you want to do the binding, that is certainly a good idea. So let's see what we need. I am going to be using this block right here to make mine today. That way it'll go with my fall decor. So I have my block, and this background fabric right here, I've cut 2 different cuts. 2 of them are 1.5 inches by 6.5 inches. 2 of the cuts are 1.5 inches by 4.5 inches. And that's going to be this fabric right here. Then I'm using a different fabric, and this is going to be around the silicone mat. I have 2 that are 2.5 inches by 5 inches and 2 that are 2.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Remember, you can use this for any block that is 4.5 inches unfinished. Once it's finished, it's going to be 4 inches. Also, you can use a pretty fabric if you don't want to use one of your blocks, or if you have a small little panel, or if you want to fussy cut something out of some fabric, that's fine. Just cut it 4.5 inches square. Then our silicone sheet is 5 inches square. And this is what the silicone sheet looks like. It's thin. And this is actually used for baking or for using in the kitchen for rolling out pastries and things like that. And I had used this in a video earlier in the year for a silicone mat, and I can link that video in the video description box below. But it comes in a roll, and it's really quite inexpensive. I think it was like $15 for, I want to say 5 or 6 feet, 5 feet maybe. And so it's quite inexpensive, and I've gone through a lot because I've made lots of mats and things. So I'm about ready to buy some more. But this is really comes in handy. You can line your cookie sheets with it and use it over and over again. I think it's good up to 450 degrees. So that makes it a nice thing, but it's great crafting also. So I'll put a link for that in the description box below. So let's see how we sew this together. Let's start with our block. So I'm going to take my 4.5 inch unfinished quilt block and my 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 4.5 and my 2 pieces that are 1.5 by 6.5. And all we're going to do with this is we are just going to sash this block. And I've got a few strings there. There we go. And so I'm going to put 2 sides on it, the ones that match up, the 4.5 inches, and I'm going to sew those right sides together, 1/4 inch away from the raw edge on both sides. So I'll bring you right back. And I have pressed the seams toward the sashing. All right, next we take our other 2 strips. They're both 1.5 by 6.5 inches. And we're going to do the same thing, right sides together. And we're going to sew 1/4 inch away from the edge on both sides. And there we have our bottom sashing placed on. And again, I press toward the sashing. So this top piece is all finished. Let's set it aside. And now let's take our 2.5 by 5.5 strips and our 2.5 by 6.5 strips and our piece of silicone. So this is a 5-inch square piece of silicone. And what I want to do is I want to press these pieces right here, and I want to press them right sides together, and we're going to press them hot dog style, which means like a hot dog bun, and this would be hamburger bun. Remember, I was an elementary teacher. So I'm going to get my pressing mat here, and let's give them a press. We're going to do all 4 pieces, and all 4 will be hot dog style fold. Now, a lot of people ask me about my iron. This is a Panasonic iron, and it has a plate that has a point at both ends. It is a cordless iron, and it's really nice for whenever I do my videos because I don't have to have that big old cord over here. It's also nice just to set next to my sewing machine and just use it for piecing blocks. Now it comes with a stand and you have to put it in the stand to keep it hot. If you take it off and are ironing with it for a long time, it will cool down. But when you're just doing piecing and things like that, it stays hot for the time that you need without any problem. But something like a big quilt, if you were pressing a big quilt, I would use my corded iron for that. But this is just real handy, and it's got a little portable case in it that you can haul it with you to retreats and things like that. So I really like it. It's been really good. There's all different styles. This one says for quilting on it, and there's different colors and things, and I'm really not sure what the difference is, but I'll put a link in the description box below for some of these, and you can just pick out the ones that would work for you and see what the difference is. Again, I'm not sure. I just saw this one for quilting and I thought I'll get that. So now I've got these all pressed right sides together, and we're going to take the two short ones first, and we're going to put them with the silicone inside. So we're going to push it all the way up to that edge. You don't want any gap in there. Okay, and then I'm just going to take some Wonder Clips or some clips and place those to hold it. We're going to do the same thing with the other side using the other short piece. And just put that right there like that. Now this stuff sews wonderfully. You can go through it easily with the needle. I recommend you don't sew a really close stitch because you don't want to put so many holes in it that it's just going to fall apart. Just use your regular stitch or a little bit wider. And what we're going to do is we are going to stitch this edge and this edge 1/4 inch from the fold right here. And if you notice that your silicone is kind of dragging, I will put a piece of paper or a tissue paper or even sometimes a piece of material right underneath there just to help it slide. I don't have it all the way up here, but you could, if you had tissue paper, put it all the way up. But I just put it where that silicone is. That way it will slide a lot better underneath my sewing machine. All right, I have my stitches there. Now all I need to do is fold this back and iron it. Again, this iron won't bother the silicone at all because it is heat resistant, so don't worry about that. And I'll do both sides. Just make sure you don't have any puckers or pleats there. Make sure you get that pulled out all the way. Oops, had a string there. There we go. Okay, and so we've got it this far. Now we're going to take our other two pieces, and these are going to go on the other sides. We're going to do the exact same thing. This time it will also cover that fabric that we just put on. So it should go end to end. And if for some reason it doesn't, you need to check your seams on your sewing machine to make sure that you are sewing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I am just putting that underneath there. And if it hangs out a little bit, that's okay. And I'm going to take this to my sewing machine, and we are going to stitch from edge to edge 1/4 inch away from that fold. And I have my seams on both sides there, and I'm going to press those back just like I did before on the other sides. And there we have that piece. Now, if you notice any wonkiness in your edges or anything, you might also check to make sure you're butting that fabric right up next to the silicone. If that moves and you don't have it setting right next to it, it could make your edges look a little wonky. So that could be a problem too. So just make sure you're pushing it all the way to the edge. It's not hard to do. It's, in fact, this silicone just kind of grips it. So it should easily just butt up against there and not move on you. So here we have the back piece. Now, I could go ahead and just decide which side I wanted and put these together. But I like the quilted look. And so what I am going to do, and my, this stuff comes in colors as well, or in cream, and I think I saw a light green or something, but mine is fairly translucent. You can kind of see the print material underneath there. I don't have a glare. And so I think let's see what it shows back there. It just shows the pumpkin. It's not going to be anything that you can't handle. But you could just finish it off without quilting. But I'm going to quilt mine because I like the quilted effect. I think that looks really pretty. And on this one, I just did diagonal strips. On this one, I did the both directions like that. And so you can do whatever kind of stitching you want, and it's really quite easy, and it just takes a few minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a piece of batting and a piece of background fabric, and I'll be right back. So I'm picking out my batting, and I'm trying to use up my little pieces because I have a ton of little pieces from the quilt edges as I quilt them on my long arm. And so I'm laying this block on it, and I like my batting to be bigger than my block just because of shrinkage. And so this is just the perfect size, but I want it to be bigger. So instead of just throwing this piece away, what I am going to do is I am going to cut this piece in half, and then I'm going to take 2 of my straight lines, and these look like they were the edge of the bolt of fabric, so they're perfectly straight. If they weren't straight, what I would do is take both of them, stack them together like this, put my ruler on it, grab my ruler here, and just trim it so it's straight for both of them, and that way they will butt up against each other perfectly. And then I just take it to my sewing machine and I put a zigzag stitch on, a pretty big one, and I just zigzag right down that strip, and it works perfectly. No one would ever know that you have put 2 pieces of batting together. They sell the batting tape that you can use, but don't spend your money on that. Just use a zigzag stitch if your machine has it. If your machine doesn't, then you're going to probably have to buy the tape. But I'm going to do that to this piece, and I'll show you what it looks like when I bring it back. And there's what it looks like when it's finished. It's nice and smooth. You don't notice any change in thickness, and it's super easy to do. So if you ever hear anybody say I'm using Franken batting, that means it's like Frankenstein where it's all patched together. So now I can use this piece, and I can just set it right here. And you know, then I'll have this piece right here to sew to another piece. So let me get my backing too. Since our block is 6.5 inches squared, I went ahead and cut my backing about 7-inch square. And that way I like to make it a little bit bigger. So I am going to be sure, let me go ahead and trim my batting to the size I want it. And I don't have to trim this right now, but it's going to make it easier for me to push through my sewing machine, not having so much. Okay. So now I'm going to lay it on here, and I want to make sure that my block is on that backing. So you've got a little wiggle room. So I'll just put, I think I'm going to use this line right here to match up with my batting. And then I know that if I've got it like that, that it will be on there. All right, so I can feel back there. Yep, I've got over. Okay, so there is my sandwich. I'm going to take a little bit of Elmer's school glue and just put it on my block and on my batting. That way it won't pucker on me when I am quilting it. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the backing. That way we won't have any surprises when we flip it over. No little puckers. And if you like your edges down, you can hit it with glue around the edges. Those tend to be the parts that turn under on us sometime. Okay, and then let's give it a press to dry that real quickly. That's good. Okay, I'm just using a water-soluble marker, and I am going to do, I think I'll do the diagonal stripe, and of course this ruler's not quite long enough, so we're just going to go from corner to corner on our block, and then we'll extend out that line. And all I need to do is one line, because I am going to be using a foot, and I'll show you which one I'm going to use. You can use your walking foot, and if you have the bar on your walking foot, that will keep track of that line, and you don't have to draw all of your lines. But I have found a great little presser foot, and it's this one right here. Let me see if I can put a piece of fabric. And whenever I do small blocks that I'm quilting on and I don't need that big of a space between my stitches, this one works really nice. So what I'll do is I will just put either the edge of this or one of those lines on that line when I'm sewing, and sew, and then the next line I'll use that sewn line to keep it even. And so it makes it really nice for small spacing on a quilt. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to do a diagonal, and then I think what I'll do too, and I'm going to go ahead and mark it, I think I'm going to do a crosshatch, so I think I'll go both ways. So again, I'm just putting it on these corners since my marker's not, or my ruler's not large enough. And be sure you use a marker that is either air soluble or water soluble. You can use the friction pen. I don't like to use them on the top of my quilts or projects where they will be seen, because they will come back with cold temperatures. And really, I don't know what will happen years from now once the chemicals in that ink become old, if they'll just start popping up on all of our quilts. I don't know, but I'd like to play it safe. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quilting on this, and then I'll bring you right back. And there I have it. I've got it all gridded, and I think you can see the pattern a little bit better on the back there. So now what we need to do is we need to trim it up, and let's just go ahead and cut off all of that excess. Don't take any of your block off, just the backing and the batting. You need your quilt block full size. Oops. Okay, so now that's all prettied up. Now let's grab our silicone piece right here. And so you can decide which side you want to be your front and back. It's the same both sides. I think I'll do this one. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to put right sides together. So this is going to be the side that is going to be showing on the back. And then this is the right side here. We're going to take some clips and we are just going to clip this together, making sure our sides are all matched up. And then I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I am going to sew a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch, probably 3/8 inch, just because I wanted to have plenty of seam allowance not to rip out. And I'm going to go all the way around, but when I get to, and I'm going to use the bottom, here's my pumpkin block here. When I get to the bottom, I'm going to leave an opening down here, probably, what is that? 3 inches wide. And I'm even going to put a pin so that it reminds me to stop. And I'm not going to poke it through my, I'm not poking it through my silicone mat. I'm just poking it through the fabric there. And I'm going to start about 3 inches, make sure that's right, about 3 inches from that pin. So I'm going to start here, go all the way around, and then stop here, and then I'll bring you back. And I have it sewn all around, and the opening is right here. And so now what I need to do before I flip it, I want to trim my corners, and you don't want to cut over your stitches that you made, but you do want to get that extra bulk out of there, because there are a lot of layers of fabric right there. Okay. And then we are going to turn it inside out. And what I do is I open it and then I grab a corner down here. I've got my thumb in it and I just push it with my finger. And once I get that side out, it works its way out. And if you need to leave your opening up a little bigger, that's fine. If you didn't quilt yours, you probably won't need to have it open as wide. The quilting and the batting are pretty stiff, especially if you quilted it close together. So I'm just poking out some of those corners and flipping it all around. And I'm going to get my corner pusher, and that will help me. So whenever I'm pushing out corners, I have two tools that are actually meant for that. This piece of wood dowel here has a point, and this is from Flamingo Toes, and it's a nice one. It won't push through like a chopstick or something like that would. And then sometimes I use a rounded edge of a paintbrush. So I think I'm just going to use this one, and if I need to try another one, I can. But we just push that corner out the best we can. And it doesn't have to be a crisp corner, because it won't be. Whenever you have a quilted material, it's so bulky that you're going to have kind of a slightly rounded corner, not real pointy. So as you can see, that's what I'm talking about, like that. And then we want to come over here and get these over here. There's that one. And that one. Okay, so I'm going to grab my iron and we are going to get this pressed right here so that we can sew a top stitch all around. Okay, the first thing I need to do is trim off some of these threads right here from the fabric. Just clean that up. Then I think what I'm going to do, and sometimes what I do is I use my corner turner and I just run it along that seam and just make sure it's pressed out and there's no pleats in that. One more side. Okay. Then I'm going to take my iron and I try to make it so that you don't see that background fabric from the front. Okay, and then let's get a seam turned under here. Do that one first. The one that just has the fabric is the easiest one to turn. The one that has the quilting is a little trickier, but you can do it. We will just turn it under so that it matches up with the fabric. And it's turned under a little more than 1/4 of an inch. Okay. And then I'm going to put a clip on here. Make sure everything's turned under. I've got a little thread right there. Let me trim that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and I'm going to top stitch really close to that edge, probably about 1/8 of an inch. I want to make sure I capture the seam in the stitch that goes around here. So I want to do that. Now I'm going to be stitching from this side because this is the side that you're going to be seeing and you want it to look nice. A while ago when I was sewing on my silicone side, just before we turned it in, I had this face up so it wouldn't drag. And it was okay because it was just the seam and it wasn't like you were seeing the seam. But since we're going to be top stitching, I want this top stitch out here to look nice. So I'll probably put a piece of paper or something right here underneath that as I sew so it doesn't drag. So I'll bring you back when I have that top stitch. Now at this point, if you want to add a label, you certainly can. You can just stick it right in here and have it sticking out. Now, if you were wanting to add one, I'll just show you how you would do it. You would just take your label, and it's already attached to the ribbon. It's ironed on, and I made mine a little longer, and this will all be hidden in the seam. What you would do is you would just take it right here, stick it in where you wanted it, and then iron it like that, and then you'd have your little tag on it, and that's really cute. So if you're making them especially for friends and you want to have something that's more personalized, you can make your own tag and stick it on there. And if you haven't seen my video on how to make your own tags, I will link it in the description box right here underneath this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep with the way I did my other one and just leave it off this time. Save that tag for something else. So I'm gonna stitch all around about 1/8 of an inch. And so there you have it, our super easy coaster or mug rug, and the silicone is on the back for you to place your cup and then flip it back over and keep it nice and clean. So I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial for these coasters, and if you did and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate that. Also, don't forget to like and share, and I hope to see you back here soon. Bye bye.